Do you feel like you don't come up with ideas fast enough, or they're not as good as anybody else's? Here's a little practice that is going to get you through this. Imagine that you and I were sitting in a room, a little bit like we are now, and I said to you, come up with an idea, and I added to that quickly and make it better than anybody else's. It's an awful lot of pressure, isn't it? And this is the kind of pressure that we're putting on ourselves when we're starting off thinking things like, I don't come up with ideas fast enough and they're never as good as anybody else's. And we're wondering why we're not coming up with ideas and why they're not as good as anybody else's. So what if I say to you, imagine a beachfront and a series of stalls all selling flowers and different stall keepers calling out the prices of those flowers, all of the different coloured bouquets that they've got displayed in their stalls, and the holiday makers that are walking along the beach. Some of them have got baskets which they're filling with the flowers that they buy from these stall keepers, and there's seagulls and they're flying in the air and you can hear the sound of the ocean rolling up on the shore. It's a different experience, right? As opposed to, hey, come up with an idea, and this freezing as I'm talking to you about the beachfront and this flower market. Maybe you're beginning to see it in your mind, or maybe you're beginning to hear some of the aspects that I'm describing. Maybe you're even beginning to smell some of those flowers. So here's the difference where we go from one place where we're putting an awful lot of pressure on our imagination to the second place where we are gently coaxing our imagination to start working for us. And here's the second place that we want to start training in. So if you find yourself in that anxious spot of my ideas, they're really not any good, they're never as good as anybody else's, and I never come up with them quick enough, know that if that's the place that you continue to focus your mind, you're only going to fulfill that prophecy. So we come into the second place where we coax the imagination. So it might be that you take a magazine and you start looking through the magazine and you choose a picture. You sit down with your notebook, you just start to write. You describe what you see in the picture. Just take a look at the colours, look at the shapes. Or perhaps you put on a piece of music and you listen to the music and you just describe what the music makes you think of, what the music makes you picture. Or you go outside and you just listen. You listen to sounds, you take your notebook and you begin to describe the sounds that you hear. And you begin to describe what those sounds make you imagine, the kind of story that goes behind those sounds. Or maybe you write about a recent dream or something that happened to you yesterday. So in this place, we're really getting to know the imagination, and we're really getting to know the way in which our imagination works. And then we become in a much more productive place, and that is going to enable us to then come up with ideas when we want to come up with them. Maybe you haven't watched any of my typewriter videos yet, but I do recommend it, because in those videos what I do is I take my little red typewriter and I go find a spot and then I just start to write. And the reason that I'm able to do this isn't because I've trained my mind to just come up with an idea. It's because I've learned how to coax my imagination. I know how my imagination works. I know how to tempt it to come out of its cave and write for me. So it really is a practice, and those few areas, looking at magazines, listening to music, just practicing journaling, is really all of them going to help you to get to know how your imagination works, and therefore really begin to practice how you can come up with ideas. And I guarantee that pretty soon you're going to be coming up with them quickly, and they are going to be better than anybody else's. You know why? Because they're going to be your ideas, and you're unique. And that's why you want to be a writer. So lovely to share my ideas with you. If you found these useful, give me a thumbs up. And if there's anything that you'd like some advice with, pop a comment below and I can see how I can help. And I look forward to seeing you next Monday. It's 2019 and you still haven't written your novel. You dread the question, how's the writing? And time is running out. But let me tell you something. You don't have to do it alone. It's that simple. This could be the year you finally write just the way you want. Imagine that